Okay, so I'm going to go over a resistance band workout now. My goal of this workout is both to give you a really good full body workout that you can use, but also to teach you the variety of different ways that you can use resistance bands. This video is going to predominantly focus on the loop band, so that's the long bands like this, that are one big loop. If you have got the big single strand bands, you can do a lot of these exercises with those, or you can even just tie a knot in them to create a loop as well. Now, a quick primer on bands. Basically, the thicker the band, the more tension it's going to create. And also, what you can do is if you're doing an exercise, for example, a bicep curl like this, if you want to make it harder, you just create more tension by putting more stretch into the band. Okay? What you can also do, and this is something that's really important if you are kind of piecing together your home workout kit, is you can layer pieces of equipment. So, for example, if you've got two bands, then you can always use both together, and that suddenly gives you a much thicker band. Very simple, but often overlooked. If you have other equipment as well, say for example you only have a very light band, but you want to do some of the exercises that I'm going to show you, but this band isn't heavy enough, you can also add in other pieces of equipment. So for example, if we were doing a bicep curl and you only had a light band, but you did have a small weight as well, then you could always add in the band and the dumbbell, and that suddenly becomes a much more challenging exercise. So you have to get a little bit creative if you only have got limited equipment, but if you do have a band, plus some of the other equipment that you may be able to piece together, you know, rucksack full of books, big water bottle, things like that, it's amazing what you can build in terms of load and resistance pieces of equipment if you just put everything together. So we're going to focus on bands today, but feel free to throw some other stuff in to start with. Right, so we are going to start with a bicep curl today. So we're going to do 10 repetitions. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to do 15. I've cranked it up a little bit. So we're going to do 15 repetitions on the band curl. So with a band curl, stand on the band. I always advise holding it on the outside. That's much friendlier on the wrist, and you also get a really nice squeeze at the top of the movement. So you can see my elbows are tucked in by my sides, curling that up, and then back down again. If I want to make it harder, I can take some more tension out of the band. I can add thicker band in. I can even add both bands. So you can do 15 of those. We're then going to pair that with a band glute bridge. So this is a really nice little trick and a way to use the band. You put it across your lap like a seatbelt. You hook the band under your foot, and you hook it under your foot on the other side. Okay? Then what you do is get yourself into the glute bridge position. Pull the band up so it's on the bony parts of your hips either side. Make sure the heels are in contact with the floor because they're trapping the band. And then from there, you're going to push the hips up. Okay? So that's a really challenging one for the glutes. So we're going to do 15 of those. And again, if you want to, double the band up, do your band, but maybe add a rucksack full of books on your lap as well. You can really start to make those quite challenging. So look to do 3 to 4 sets of 15 repetitions on each of those, and that's 2 different ways you can use your bands. Next exercise we're going to go over is a band pull apart. So a basic band pull apart is where you hold the band and pull it apart like that. So you're going to feel those muscles in between the shoulder blades working. And again, you can start off with a single strand for a bit of an easier exercise. You can double the band up, or you can even obviously add a second band or a thicker band. There is a harder variant you can do as well. So what you do is you stand on the band, you come up in a front raise, and then pull the band apart. So that's adding more shoulders into the mix as well. So if you're looking for a really good upper body exercise that you can do with a light band, which is often all you've got, that's a really, really good one to do. So we're going to go for 12 repetitions of those, and we're going to do 12 repetitions of your press up. Now, press ups with a band are a really good way of progressing your pushing movements. Obviously, if you've been used to doing lots of bench pressing and weighted things, then press ups might not be cutting it for you. There's been studies though that show a banded press up has as much muscle activity as a bench press, and with some heavy bands can be very, very challenging. So what you're going to do is you're going to loop the band around your hands like this. I recommend putting a couple of twists into the band, and you'll see why in a moment. This then is going to go across your back. Okay, so you'll see it's set. I'll show you the red band, actually it'll stand out a little bit more. So that's going to go across the back of my shoulders, and then you want to have the band over the bottom of the palms of your hands, okay, so right there on the heel. You're then going to set yourself up in your press-up position and do your press-ups as you would do normally with the band. The reason we put the twist in is if you don't, it's very easy for one of the strands to flick up and smack you on the back of the head, which nobody wants. And again, if you double the band up on this, you slow the repetition range down and you make sure you come all the way up into that full extension where the band is at its strongest and is being stretched the most. You'll get really big muscle activation through the triceps and through the chest. Okay, so 12 of those, but obviously you're going to dictate your repetition based on obviously your ability, but also the band resistance. So if you're stronger and you've only got a lighter band, bump those reps up. Or if you're a bit newer to training and you've got a stronger band, then just bring those repetitions down a little bit. So again, look to do 3 to 4 sets of 12 of each on those as a guidance to start with. Right. We're now going to do a couple of new exercises. So for 2 different ways you can use the bands. So one of my favourite ways of training the lower body with bands is with a rear foot elevated split squat, adding the band to add the load. Now, this is a new way of using a band, I imagine, for some of you, so we're just going to take this nice and steady. Okay, you're going to step through the band. You're then going to place the band over your shoulder. Okay, you're going to grab the hand, so if it's on your right shoulder, you're going to grab it with your right hand. The left hand is going to grab the band behind you. Okay, you're then going to push the band down, so you've got this loop hanging between your legs like this. You're then going to step back with the other leg, so if it's over your right shoulder, it's going to be your left leg, and put your foot through it, okay? You're then going to step forward, have something to put your back foot onto, and then we're going to do our split squats. But as you come up to the top of the movement, the band is having to push up against you, and you're having to push up against it, okay? So look to do 8 or so repetitions on each side. And again, add some weight, add a band. This starts to get really quite challenging now. Got a weight and a band. And I know some strength coaches at some high-level universities in the States, they swear by these. They don't do any back squatting with their high-level athletes. They just do some single leg exercises, particularly that one. Pros and cons to it, but it's a really, really tough one. So we're then going to go into a band row. So another way you can use bands is by attaching them to something and then pulling against them. And this allows you to create quite a lot of tension. So find something stable, put the band around it, and create yourself a couple of loops, okay? So training back at home can be really quite difficult, but with a good band, you can really get stuck in something. So something solid. So I've got a big heavy table here, but I'm also going to put my feet against the table so it doesn't move. You could add, attach it to a decent door handle, or if you've got a post in your garden, or something that's just not going to move. Because when we pull against it, we're creating loads of tension, and I'm feeling my muscles squeezing together at the back. And I like higher repetitions on these, so look to maybe do 15 reps. Again, if you want to make it harder, take more tension. So that's really starting to get quite difficult. And then obviously you can add double bands and things as well. One way you can work on this one is if you do only have a single band or something that's not quite as thick. For example, if you only had this purple band wouldn't really be much use to me on this one. But if I go single arm, so make a loop, attach it round, and do one arm at a time, or even loop it up. So I've actually got 4 strands working against just the one arm. Suddenly this purple band becomes a really nice challenge. Okay? Core engaged, really pull the arm back. So again, higher repetitions on that. So look to do 8 on each leg and do 15 on your rows, again for 3 to 4 sets depending on your ability. So that's 3 really good supersets that you can get stuck into. I'm going to show you a good one as well for the glutes. So obviously we've got the glute bridge at the start, but we're all sitting down quite a lot. Glutes are going to be getting a bit lazy. We're not doing as much activity as we would be doing normally, so we want to make sure that we're keeping the glutes nice and active and strong. So you take your band. You're going to stand on it with about a foot or so between your feet. You're then going to cross the band over, stand up tall, and hold the band at sort of a 90-degree position like that. So it's created an X. So this is an X band walk. So what you're going to do then, keeping good posture, step to the side, step in, step to the side, step in. Okay? Now this one doesn't look much, but after a few repetitions on this, you're really going to feel it. And if you can, look to do maybe 50, 75 to 100 steps each way. So for me across my mat is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I do 4 back the other way. And for that one, it's keeping the tension on the glutes and really feeling the burn. So great finisher, and that's loads of different ways that you can use your bands. About being creative and layering up the other pieces of equipment that you've got on top of it as well to really make the most of it. So get stuck into that, let me know what you think.